crank it away. Thank you for joining the How To and Two podcast. My name is Jesse, and today I'm chilling with my blanket because it's freaking cold in my studio today. But we have an awesome guest, Kevin Smullin, and he's with 2Q Lead Generation. Does a fantastic job. In fact, Kevin helped build my business from brand new real estate agent to now where it's at. So welcome, Kevin. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Hey, no problem, Jesse. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So Kevin, can I just give us a background why you started doing 2Q and how it's kind of grown over the years, but most importantly, the why?
The why? Yeah. So the Cliff Note version is so about 23 years ago, I went and got my real estate license. I was a 22-year-old kid. If you or your listeners can do math, now you know how old I am. But I went and got my real estate license, 22-year-old kid. Frankly, I knew nothing about nothing. I was so naive that I just assumed that people were going to do business with me because I had a license that said that they could. That literally was my marketing strategy. And if anybody's listening that's in that boat, I do not recommend that marketing strategy at all. It doesn't work very well. It was horrible for me. So as a struggling agent, I went and talked to my broker and said, hey, what do I need to do to generate business? And he said, Kevin, there's three things: call for sale by owners, gave me a script. Number two, call expired listings, gave me a script. Third thing, call your sphere of influence, gave me a script, and basically just said, go at it. So not knowing any better, I jumped on the phone, started calling. And what I found was everybody was calling for sale by owners and expired listings. And I just really had no way of differentiating and setting myself apart. So I ended up spending tons of time on the phone, very little to show for it. It was just super frustrating. And then calling my sphere of influence, they knew I was a new agent. They knew I had no experience. And so most of the feedback I got from people was just, Kevin, let us know when you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So long story short, the things that people told me to do to generate business, frankly, just didn't work for me. So there's a statistic in real estate that says that 87% of agents will fail in the first 5 years of the business. That was me. I lasted a little less than 2. And it was all just because I didn't know how to generate business. And frankly, for me, that's where everything started. I dedicated the next 15 years to studying everything I could about marketing, about lead generation, about social media as it came on the scene. And that's honestly how I got a start in this, was by failing the first time around and just taking those lessons, teaching other people. And that's how this started. So your question was, why do I do what I do? And my main motivator is I know what it feels like to fail as a real estate agent. And if I can keep somebody from that experience, that's what drives me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know when I first heard that story, I was a brand new agent going, I don't want to be 2 years and quit. Just so, that's what ultimately got us to go, hey, we're going to talk to this guy more and make that decision. So, obviously we hear about a lot, especially in the real estate world and in any marketing. Hey, Facebook is the thing you want to do, like market. And you have the difference between boosting a post and actually going and targeting. But I mean, what specifically kind of separates you from the competition? What are things that you're doing that maybe these agents or other people don't know about?
Yeah, great question. There's several answers to that. So number one, a lot of people in the social media space, especially Facebook, what they'll teach you is they'll teach you to build a business page, post tons of content once a day, twice a day, whatever frequency they recommend. Mm-hmm. And people go do that. And then what they find is next to nobody sees their content. The piece that a lot of people just don't realize, it's that nugget of information that's staring them in the face. They already know it, but they just haven't accepted it for whatever reason, right. Which is Facebook is just a pay-per-view system. Mm-hmm. So if you want more people to see your content, they're going to expect money. The sooner you can come to grips with that, the faster you're going to be able to grow with Facebook. So that's one of the things that we highly are differentiated in, especially just in the social media space, is our strategy isn't post lots of content and pray people see it. It's let's spend a little bit of money and be super focused about who sees particular content.
Yeah. And that's when we originally talked, that was one of the things that we discussed is, all right, we could continue to post to our individual Facebook page, but ultimately we're just losing friends because all of a sudden our individual page is becoming, our personal page is becoming just a marketing thing for real estate. No one wants to hear about that. So that was what was interesting, is separating the two from your business to your personal, and letting your business page do the marketing, but also still have a voice with your personal account. And that was
Yeah, absolutely.
one of the first things out the get go that we really learned that I loved. And then, just continue to build from there. So for those that are listening, like, and I think Kevin's being very modest in what he can do. And you know some of the things that you just don't realize that you can do, like pulling a list of fit names and phone numbers and just getting down to income, to number of years in a home likely to sell. You can target straight down to that and get yourself some quality leads to talk to, as opposed to your typical, hey, here's an ad, click on it and maybe I'll get a house. So what kind of success have you had with your company?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, my company keeps growing year over year. In fact, this year we're close to about 50% growth over last year.
Awesome.
But basically, it's all just teaching people these things that they don't know. I mean,
Right.
very few, if you talk to the average agent, they'll tell you that the lion's share of their business comes from their relationships, their friends, family, coworkers, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you ask them what they're doing to market to those people, and 90% of agents will tell you that they're not doing anything.
Right.
So one of the smallest, simplest things that anybody could do that would make a tremendous difference is you can take a list of your sphere of influence, your past clients, whoever you want to include. You can upload that list to Facebook and run ads directly to them. And it costs about 1 cent per impression. So what that means is, if you were to have a list of, say, 500 people and you want to run an ad, it's going to cost you in the neighborhood of about $5 to do that. So it's insanely inexpensive. It's an easy way to basically use Facebook as a drip system to keep in front of your most powerful relationships. And a lot of people just don't even know that's possible. You can use that same concept to upload lists of likely to sell, or for sell by owners, or any of the different things that you're mentioning. But again, the problem that most people have is they just don't know that those things are possible.
Right. And the time, right? Like finding the
Sure.
time, because, as a real estate agent or a small business owner in general, you are your CPA, you're your CEO, you're, the COO, you're everything. And so, finding the time to do that and learn how to do it, totally hard. And that's why you want to hire a
Sure.
professional, right? So I'm glad you mentioned that, because just to kind of put it into perspective, like when we signed up, and this is one of my favorite stories to say, when we first started, we had $10,000 to live 6 months. That was it, to make it or break it in real estate. And we spoke to you probably the first week. And, right out the get go, it was about 60% of what we had in savings to get signed up, plus, your ad spend. Now, granted, that was for quite a long time. Um,
Sure.
but man, it was like, all right, do we do this? Well, we did. My wife thought I was absolutely crazy. But we signed up.
Well, that's part of what makes relationships work.
Exactly. And we signed up, and kid you not, it went from, okay, no one knew I was a real estate agent. I hadn't used Facebook in years. I mean, I think my last post was like 2007, 2008. Came in out the get go, and 13 transactions from August to September. And then going into the next year, we went to a total of 37, which is insane. And so, like, the only way I could contribute the success and things like that was because of the marketing plans that we ran and the ads and things that went directly to our friends and family. And most people reached out to us via Facebook, so it was great to see that return. So one of my favorite stories to tell people, especially if they're interviewing you, it's like you need to pay attention to what you're doing, but also moving from, like, hey, here's, just doing this post, to the mind and the, allowing your mind to work and go, well, could we try this? And I mean, those were some of the cool things. And I think that, like you said, a lot of times it's just coaching, and then allowing the agent to, or, business owner to just go in there and elaborate and really target what they want to do. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's awesome. So I want to know a success story. One of your favorite stories, working with one of your clients. What is one of those, like, this keeps me going every single day?
Yeah. So one of my favorite stories. Brand new client I just started working with very first week. And as we were talking and just building her strategy and figured out what she wanted to do, she's like, "Hey, I've got this listing that I'm having a hard time selling."
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, tell me about it." It was this listing. It was $1.2 million, 150-acre estate,
Yeah, hard
and
to
it
sell.
was like a mobile home that was on this 150 acres. I mean, the house was garbage,
Yeah.
but the value of the property was the land, right?
Mhm.
And so she's like, "I'm just having a hard time getting any kind of exposure." And so I just said, "Hey, let's see what we can do." We put together a campaign, and I said, "Well, tell me about the owner. Why did he buy this?" And she's like, "Well, he bought it because he wanted to have, land to hunt on and land to fish on. And, he was just an outdoorsman." And so as we started talking through that, it was like, huh. So we started targeting people that like to fish and like to hunt and all those people that, have those outdoor interests. And we had that property sold within about a week. In fact, it was one of the most successful campaigns I've ever run. We had about 200 people that had submitted their name, phone number, email address, requesting information about the property. She had 3 offers on it,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it was awesome. So yeah.
And a $1.2 million mobile home is, that's hard to sell no matter how good you are. So that's awesome. Um, Man, I love it. And that's really one of the major things and why we really wanted you on the show is just because marketing is tough in general, regardless of whatever business aspect you're in. And so knowing your options and knowing that marketing is not just, hey, let's send out a mailer or hey, let's make a million phone calls, right? It's strategic and there's a lot of strategy and different things behind it that you need a good marketer in your corner. So um and I guess that's going to just kind of lead over to our how to and two question is how do you become an effective marketer?
Yeah. So one of the things I would give anybody, like the advice I would give anybody about creating an effective marketing message is too often, especially in the real estate industry, the two biggest mistakes agents make where marketing is concerned is number one, they make the marketing all about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in the business 10,000 years. I've got this many contracts. I have these designations. And frankly, the people that you're marketing to, they don't care.
They don't.
So that's the first problem that a lot of agents have is they make the message all about them.
Mm-hmm.
The second biggest mistake that most agents make is that their message is so vague, right? By trying to appeal to everyone, the truth is they're actually appealing to no one.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest truths about marketing is the more specific you can be, the easier it is to get a response.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than trying to appeal to first-time buyers and investors and move-up buyers and so on, pick one. Have a focused message and you'll notice your response rate goes up significantly.
Yeah.
So those would be the two biggest tips I would give anybody about their message itself is number one, stop making it about you.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, be a little more specific. There's power in specificity.
Yeah, I love it. And you're sitting here telling me this, and it's just a good reminder in general. Like this industry is full of ego, and that you got to check your ego at the door and remember that this isn't your house, like that you're buying. This is for your client, and this is their house, and being specific to what their needs are, not your own. But man, I love that. I feel like we could sit here and talk for hours about marketing and just continue to, you know, find new ways and things to do that generates business. And I think one of my favorite stories that we ran was we did something so specific. Brand new agent out in Tennessee started our separate company, and we said, okay, we're going to do 15 videos or 20 videos, something. And it was here's number one objection, number two objection, three objection, and it was just quick 30 seconds to a minute clip. And I remember just getting at some point after video 8, watching this lady go through, she picked up the phone and called me and just ripped me a new one about how she's sick of seeing my ads on Facebook and how she's not she's not buying a house. But going back, I mean, we had it so specific. Okay, 30-second video. She watches 15 seconds of that. She's going to get the next video. And if she watches 15 seconds of that, she's going to get the next video. So when I was on the phone with her, I'm like, well, you need to stop watching my videos then. Like, and you can go click the hide ad. And I was trying to be respectful. But then she even went as far as posting negative reviews because our marketing was effective and it was right to her. And so that's marketing can go wrong, but also too, I knew that anyone that watched that video was seeing a ton of it and was getting good quality information. And ultimately, I did have people call from those videos, and so that's one of my favorite things to do, but I could not have done that without your help. But man, is my favorite thing. Like when people go, how much should I follow up with a lead? And I just share that story. I'm like, I guess 20 times. I don't know. Like just continue until they call you and yell and then follow up again. But
Yeah, I mean, my stance on when's the time to stop following up is if they buy, if they die, or they become a jerk. That's kind of my rule.
I love it. And mine is like, even if they buy, still market. And if they die, market to their family. I know it sounds harsh, but honestly, like that's the nature of this business is continue to follow up. And that would be like the one thing I would add too is just because you have a great marketing platform does not mean you're going to get results unless you put forth the work too. So I know you've got a follow-up marketing campaign as well for agents that are looking at, oh, I want to get leads, but I don't want to call them because I'm too busy or too scared, whatever it is. So tell us a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that, I mean, really our services are focused on three things. Number one, we'll run ads specifically designed to generate new leads and new opportunities. As we do that, it creates a new problem, which is lead follow-up and lead conversion.
Right.
My experience there is exactly what you're talking about. Agents are usually too busy, don't want to spend the time, don't know how, they're just not effective at it. And it's funny, I've run tons of tests where I can take the same leads and give them to one agent and they'll turn it into business, and you give it to another agent and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are just really good about the follow-up and some aren't. So one of the things we include in our services is we have a follow-up system that will follow up with the lead to where the intent is it's a text message based system. Once they respond to the text, there's a live person who's communicating with them, and they're just trying to set a phone appointment so that the agent can have a conversation with someone who's more serious.
Right.
And so the beauty of it is, I mean, agents always get excited about the appointments, but truth be told, the part that I get excited about are all the leads that they filter out by saying this one's not interested, it's bogus information, because all of that is just time saved.
Right.
So that's the second part of what we do is helping agents set appointments with that lead follow-up and lead conversion system. And then the third part is what we were talking about earlier, doing the sphere of influence relationship marketing. And that's really the core of our service is helping people do those three things.
I love it. And then to add on a fourth, that what we love to do is our farm as well, just a video
Yep.
every single month of, everyone in this neighborhood, and honestly continue to list properties from our farm videos day in and day out. Even if we don't do them, like we get, hey, where's that latest market review, right? And it's just that consistency. I love it.
Yep.
Great. Well, Kevin, where can people find you?
Hopefully all over if our marketing's working well. But
Hopefully on
easiest way
Facebook.
to find us, easiest place to find us is either going to YouTube or our website. The website is just my name. It's kevinsmullin.com, KevinSmullin.com. You can find all about the one-on-one services we offer, as well as we have online trainings if people just want to learn how to do it themselves.
Awesome.
And then I have a YouTube channel. It has about 300 different videos that'll show you how to do way more than you ever wanted to learn. So again, the YouTube channel name it's my name or the company name, 2Q Lead Generation Strategies, and people can go see everything that we're all about.
That's awesome. And then, of course, I would definitely highly recommend calling Kevin and just having a consultation and talking to him. He's not just state specific, he works on a national basis. So, definitely, if you are struggling with your leads, call him because he will take care of you. But appreciate you jumping on, Kevin. And this is, like I said, I was just super excited to get you on and talk about this. This is something I'm very passionate about and appreciate your time.
No, it's awesome. I appreciate it. It's fun to see the growth you've had. So
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, feel free to reach out to Kevin, and the information will be provided in this podcast as well as this video on YouTube to reach out to him and get your consultation today. All right.